Alrighty, week 2 monsters are here for the Let This Grieving Soul rest. And I did spawn it once, and I got both of the monsters. So I'm gonna go over these two. I'm gonna go over Liz and Citri, the Halloween versions. And in order to reach the scrolls for these spawns, you're going to need to spawn them 25 times. So it's 30 gems per spawn, and then it's 15 gems for the first spawn. So that comes out to 735 gems as your total. Now, I do like this spawn in the sense that you know exactly how many gems you will spend on this spawn. I don't like these types of spawns because you never know what you'll get. There's a chance that you get absolute garbage. I've spent hundreds of gems on this type of spawn before and received basically nothing. You're not guaranteed, like for the step up spawns, you're guaranteed monsters at certain gem amounts. You are not guaranteed anything from these. So just be aware that it is full gambling. Now, with that said, I did get, from just spawning it once, I got both of them. As you can see here, neither of them are on stat, unfortunately. They're both magic attack, but I did get both of them. So just remember your ABGs, always be gambling. So let's talk about the spawn now. For Liz, she is a neg prio monster, which means that standard priority monsters go before. So you have increased prio monsters that don't do any damage, and they go first. Then you have your regular priority monsters, and even if you win, let's say a clash in something like Guild Battle or in Coliseum, your monster will always go last as it is in the negative priority slot. So if you die, this monster will not go off at a standard time. So just be aware that that exists. Now, with that said, she is excellent. I really like her. She slaps so hard. She hits like a freight train. This damage, hitting 5 times for 1,000 on fire is incredible. And it's a piercing as well, which isn't super relevant, but it's good. There are instances where it can greatly impact damage, but this is absolutely fantastic. Oh my goodness, it's so good. And Time Slice as well. Also very, very powerful. If the enemies are buffing, then this can be extremely, extremely valuable. Now, Constriction is not my favorite, but it is pretty good, especially for PvP. These two usually are not good, but in tandem, in a neg prio monster, are fantastic. So the idea is that you will reduce their Unison gauge gains and their cost gains right before something like Crystal. And I'll go over when you would use this monster as well. The Twilight, also fantastic. The Twilight gives you piercing for reduction, damage reflection, and nullification procs. So it pierces everything. So just be aware that as soon as this monster goes off, you should be able to attack the enemies and they should just instantly die. Now, there are instances where they would resurrect, or they would be left with 1 HP like Ward. It doesn't, you still have to be aware of some things, but just be like, when you see Twilight, think PvP, and as soon as this monster goes off, you can kill everyone on the enemy team fairly confidently. Barracks, oh, I love it. I love it. Barracks is the absolute best bubble that there is, and it's unbelievably good. And it's pretty rare too. So I love that it has barracks. This is the part that I don't love. Fire Quail, pretty disappointing to be honest. It's not that I dislike Fire Quail. It's more like I would rather see an enemy field for a monster like this. Now with that said, Fire Quail can be extremely powerful, so I'm not docking too much here. But yeah, Fire Quail is a little bit disappointing. Let's talk about the numbers. 40K, I feel like 40K is low. I would have liked to have seen a little bit higher stat increases. Miasma is really rare, but it is a it's extremely rare in PvP. You basically never see it in PvP, but it is pretty rare even given PvE. It is a debuff that damages you over time. It's like a poison. It's like a dot poison damage. And it also decreases your status resistance. So as soon as you get hit by miasma, then you can get hit by lots of other things. Scorching, also quite rare in both PvP and PvE. However, scorching in PvE can be extremely detrimental. People don't realize scorching is the status effect that is a fire, and when you use an ability, it deals % damage on your character. Now, what people don't realize about a lot of these status ailment effects is that they have secondary effects, and the secondary effect of scorching is a decrease in your defense and magic defense by 50%. So what that basically means is that as soon as you get hit with scorching in PvP or PvE, your dual scaling no longer protects you, and you're more susceptible to dying. So you're quicker to die and you're dealing far less damage. So scorching resistance, it's extremely rare, but however, when it does rear its ugly head, it is very, very annoying to deal with, and it has caused many tears. Fire and water defense at 700, oh, that is good. So where would you use this monster and what would I rank her? I would rank her an 8.5 out of 10, probably. Yeah, probably I can't go higher than an 8 out of 10. For PvE specifically, she's like a 3 or 4 out of 10. Especially, like it depends. If you're fighting against wind, then the Fire Quail is really powerful. However, there's the other Fire Quail monster that's actually extremely good for PvE. So when compared to that, this monster is pretty shit. So I would have to say that she's basically just a field monster when it comes, and a barracks when it comes to PvE. However, on the PvP side, Coliseum and Guild Battle, I can see the vision for extreme potential. So let me paint a picture in Guild Battle. You and the enemy team are both clashing. You lose the clash. They go first. They buff during the priority and standard priority phase. And now they're full buff, ready to go into Crystal. You have used this monster and have survived through all of the damage. Now you hit them, you basically kill half of them, almost half of them just right off the bat. You're almost guaranteed to kill. There are instances if you have like 4 to 5, something like that, you're not going to kill. If they have lots of bubbles, you're also probably not going to kill. But it depends. You can definitely kill some of them right before they go into Crystal. Then you hit them with Time Slice. So now all of their buffs are basically half the time, and you're constricting them, which means that if you have multiple people on your team that are surviving, the chances that they'll be able to kill both of you before you kill one of them is lower, because they won't have something like diffusion. You're also reducing their Unison gains and their cost recovery gains, which means that when they go into Crystal, if they come out of Crystal, whoever has survived this uni has a lower chance of uniing. They also have a lower chance of doing good damage when they're in the Crystal. Now, all of those are fantastic. That's exactly what you would want. This is the part that I'm concerned about. It's the fire quail. I would prefer a negative field. If this was a negative field, this monster would be an absolute 10 out of 10, just chef's kiss, perfect monster. Unfortunately, it is a fire quail monster, so I can see the vision. There are instances where I believe that maybe some of the enemy team survived your team's unis, and you didn't get a field because, there was a field disrupt on your side, and so you had already thrown one field and it got canceled, and now this is the secondary field. I can see this being a cleanup monster in some instances, but it's not a standard priority monster. It is a neg priority monster. It's decreased. So there's always a chance that the enemies have thrown some really powerful monster. But overall, I really, really like this. I would say this is probably a 9 out of 10 for PvP, or for guild battle specifically, especially the turtle strategy guild battle. If you are a mega tank in guild battle, this is a perfect monster for you. Now, I will say for Colosseum, I'm not as big of a fan, just for the fact that there are so many uni-locking monsters in Colosseum. I would say for a single use, if no one else is going to be throwing a monster, she's a 10 out of 10. If you are throwing a monster and everyone else is throwing a monster, I would say she's probably a 7 out of 10, just because there's a high possibility that you get uni-locked, so you must run lots of uni-lock protection if you're going to use this monster in Colosseum. So I really, really like Liz, and I'm so glad I got her. Let's talk now about Seatree. She is standard monster, only hits twice, but she does massive damage on the hit for magic damage. She also time slices, increases allies' elemental attacks. She applies Frenzy and Blessing and read out the bubble to just you, which I don't like read out as a bubble. I think it's pretty bad. I also don't like Blessing or Frenzy. There are better things. I like Blessing a lot more than I like Frenzy. Frenzy's just disappointing, to be honest. So you're basically just getting a bubble, a time slice, and 180 element, which granted, there's not a lot of 180 element monsters, so it's debatable whether she's good. Let's look at her pots. 40k again, 3 on elemental wind, which is interesting. It's very interesting. I don't dislike it. Abstract resistance at 60. Oh, that's the good stuff. Abstract resistance is so important for surviving in guild battle clashes. And then wind and dark defense for 700. That's also so good. So as a backline monster, she's really, really good. She's going to give you a lot of longevity. I would say overall, she's a 5 out of 10. Now, as a permanent backline member of your squad, I would say that she's close to a 10 out of 10. I would say she's probably an 8 out of 10 for a permanent backline member. And the reason is because wind beats water, and in the past, water monsters have done massive amounts of damage. So we always fluctuate between a water and a wind meta generally for those elements. Fire has recently been powerful, but generally in the past has not been great. Mainly because there's not enough buffs in fire. And so you'll see lots of water and wind monsters being thrown. So I like wind a lot more than I like something like water defense. And dark covers both light and time. So you're basically getting 1,400 plus the 700. So it's a total of 2,100 uni defense just from her. She also gives 60 abstract resistance, which is fantastic. And she gives the 3 elemental wind. So if you end up getting this monster as a scroll and she's on stats, and you can use her for probably 2 or 3 years as a backline monster. So I really, really like this monster as a backline monster. As a monster to throw, I would say she's probably a 2 or a 3 out of 10. There's no reason to ever time slice in a PvE match. And there's no reason to ever elemental buff in a PvP match. And that's all she does. She just time slices and 180 buffs. Element. So yeah, she's like a 2, maybe a 3. She doesn't fit anywhere when you throw her, just normally. But this is really promising. So would I suggest spending 735 gems on her? No. However, just be aware, if you need backline monsters and you want longevity, she has it. She's got you covered. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I spawned this once and I was satisfied because I got both of them. I don't need them, but I would. They both have a good solid place in the game. They're much, much better than all of the monsters in this spawn, except for Tino, her. This bitch is the only one that can compete, and she's basically just on a different level. She's a 10 out of 10 monster. There's just no way around it. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys.